Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Beier Auditorium. Nice to see you. My name is Mike Schultz, and I'm a 1979 graduate of the University of Montana Western. Back then it was Western Montana College. And in addition to that, I was the library director here for 28 years. But I've been retired for a few, but they get me out, dust me off. I'm Dewey Decimal Classification History, United States history, and I come out every once a year just to see how everything's going at my alma mater. So it's a pleasure. I would also like to introduce, behind me, Vicki Howard. Dr. Vicki Howard is the director of the Native American Indian Partnership Grant that Western has with the Blackfeet Community College, and she does great work, and we're so pleased that one of their students is actually one of the outstanding teachers tonight, and one of the partnership participants is also in the audience, so I'll be introducing her in a little bit later. One more time. Sorry, Little Binghorn College. I've just been corrected. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Vicky. Oh, and she is the award wrestler. She's going to get the awards and give to the people, so she'll be coming back and forth. So we're pleased that she is here as well. And happy Earth Day. How wonderful. And it looks a little bit like spring, maybe. So we're pleased with that as well. And this is one of my favorite nights of the year, and that's why I came out. Because, you know, Night of the Stars celebrates education and educators, which are so fantastically important to us. And we celebrate another red letter anniversary. There's just a lot of them tonight. 130th anniversary of the founding of Western. Can you imagine that? 130 years ago, 1893. That's worth a hand clap. Did you know that Western was the first education college in Montana in 1893? And it was called the Normal School then. And for all of those years, Western has been producing quality educators for Montana schools. And today, it is still the largest program at Western education, K through 12. Still the largest program. And it just is a feel-good night. So I think that the Night of the Stars is good medicine for everything that could possibly ail us. It's an antidote for negativity and happiness because it gives us mass doses of joy and positivity. It's a celebration of the successes of the Western family, which makes our heart, like the Grinch's, swell by several sizes by the mighty accomplishments of our award winners and the exciting futures of our award winners. So it's a wonderful thing. Well, I told you it's a little bit like spring, but spring in Montana is very, very fickle, isn't it? It's been off and on and off and on, but here in the Beier Auditorium, everything is blooming beautifully. We're going to be showcasing beautiful, budding, pre-service educating flowers and deep-rooted and leafy Hall of Fame education trees tonight. And I think that should lead into a musical moment, don't you think, for just a second? Irving Berlin, I love to sing, and that's my superpower, by the way, is coming up with songs. But like every good superhero, there's a problem. Think of Superman and Kryptonite. So I can come up with a song for every occasion. My problem is I can't carry a tune in the bucket. But you know what's important? Important to make a joyful noise. That's all that's important. So here we go. And if you know it, sing along. Irving Berlin, blue sky smiling at me, nothing but blue sky do I see. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. And it would even be brighter in here because we have our wonderful audience. And I'm wondering if we can turn up the lights just a little bit so we can introduce some people that are here tonight. House lights up just a little bit. All right, so super. And if you want to hold your applause, I just want to recognize anybody that is a current or former Western Montana, University of Montana Western faculty, staff, or administrator. If they could just stand up right now, stand up, former or current University of Montana Western faculty, staff, administrators. Stay standing, ladies and gentlemen. Look at you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the previous Night of the Stars winners, any previous Night of the Stars winners that are with us tonight. Look at those guys. All right, isn't that great? If they're sitting right over there, together. The 70s crew, I'll bet. Yes, yay, amen. Thank God for 70s. I think so too. You bet. And then last but not least, K through 12 educators, former or current K through 12 educators teaching. All right, great. Look at that. Super, super, super. Now, let's rock the house with them. You guys are our linchpins, our wonderful thing. Congratulations for all the work you've done and over the years. We thank you very much. And we're so glad that you're here tonight. And it's now my pleasure to introduce the provost of the University of Montana Western for some greeting remarks. His name is Dr. Johnny McLean. Welcome you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you all for being here. What an honor this is. I'm so excited for what I understand is the 12th Night of the Stars event. So this is exciting for me. Welcome, for most of you, welcome back to our campus. And for some of you, welcome to our campus. This is a beautiful place, and I want to say a little bit more about the university in just a second. But first, I want to give a couple of thanks out. I want to thank Roxanne England and her team, Kelly and Jolene, for organizing this portion of the event, along with Dr. S.T. Aiken, the division chair, Dr. Vicki Howard, and the committee that put this awards event together. I also want to thank Daniel Chapman and his team for making the Beier Auditorium all perfect for us tonight. And then later on this evening, we'll be going to the Lewis and Clark room for the reception, and Rebecca Knotts and her team have done a fantastic job getting that ready for us. So as you see those folks, please give them a thanks. This institution, as Mike said, has been around for 130 years. And this department, the Department of Education, has led the way that entire time. It's an incredible example, in my view, of innovation and excellence. And I want to just say a couple words about some of the innovations that have happened from this department. I don't know if you know this, but some will argue that student teaching as a concept and as a practice was pioneered at Montana Western maybe just over 100 years ago. Now student teaching happens across the country, basically at every school that's preparing teachers. That's a long history of innovation, but it didn't stop there. As you all know, about 20 years ago, we went to the block model, became the first four-year public institution in the country, and still the only four-year public institution to use the block. That allows us to create immersive, authentic experiences for students. But for the education department, that wasn't a problem at all. That wasn't a challenge. The education department has been doing that for decades and decades and decades before. This department, as Mike mentioned, through the leadership of Dr. Howard and some others, have created some incredible partnerships with our tribal colleges around the state. We've pioneered Rural Fridays that I know a lot of you have been involved with. And even just, I think two or 3 weeks ago, we signed an intergovernmental service agreement with the Office of Public Instruction to expand a pilot program, a residency program that is putting seniors in college into schools across the state for their whole senior year, where they're teaching. It's basically an expanded version of student teaching where they take their final classes online. This department and all of you who have been a part of this have been leading the way in Montana and really in the nation for generations. And it's just an honor for me to be part of this university, and I'm so thankful to be here tonight. One last point though, all these innovations don't happen without people driving them. And we can talk all we want about the innovations and the efforts and the initiatives and the partnerships, but really what tonight is about is the people who have been leading the way and the people who have come out of these programs and gone on to be lead educators in the state, and for our students who are poised to become those leaders. So thank you all, thanks for being here, and let's have a great night of celebration. And Mike, thank you for your charisma and your energy. This is going to be a fun evening. Thank you all. See you soon.
Thank you very much for those heartfelt remarks. That was wonderful. Well, you know what? I think another song is in order. Kool and the Gang. This is one of my favorites, so please dance if you'd like in the aisles. There's a party going on right here, a celebration to last throughout the year. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We're gonna celebrate this party with you. And let's begin with our first award winners. This is a great one, the Outstanding Teacher Award candidates, and also the Stockman Bank Awards. And to introduce those students and the award is Dr. S.T. Aiken. Dr. Aiken is the Division Chair of Education, and it's my pleasure to welcome her.
going to go ahead and have all the candidates come onto the stage. Each year, the Education Department faculty nominates the top teacher candidates who stand out above their peers. Out of approximately 500 declared education majors, this group represents the top 2% of future educators at Montana Western. The nominations vary, but all candidates have similar traits in common. These are our academic scholars, our passionate and compassionate servants to children. They are students who, through their efforts and their gifts, show great potential to become master teachers. Suffice it to say that this group of educators account for scores of entries on the Dean's List and share mean GPAs in the upper stratosphere. Though we hold high expectations for all our students, these 12 candidates will have the additional distinction of representing the University of Montana Western as our brightest stars. And then I should have asked them to come on the stage now. But here they are. Here they are. All right. And the script said applause right there, so you guys knew what you were doing. All right. As I read your name, major, and hometown, please step forward and accept your award. Shelby Austin, elementary education major from Helena, Montana. Noah Danielson, physical education major from Vaughn, Montana. Sarah Detlaff, elementary and physical education major from Thompson Falls, Montana. Brinley Fitzgerald, elementary education and physical education from Dillon, Montana. Courtney Gardapi, elementary education from Browning, Montana. Cassidy Hartsook, elementary education major from Kalispell, Montana. Tona Iwin, elementary education major from Helena, Montana. Taylor Jones, elementary education major from Stanford, Montana. Mesa King, elementary and physical education major from Big Timber, Montana. LaDawn Plainfeather, elementary education major from Lodge Grass, Montana. Ella Smith, early childhood education major from Wasilla, Alaska. And Logan Thompson, elementary education major from Bozeman, Montana. Before we ask our outstanding teacher candidates to leave the stage, I would like to recognize one of our recipients with the Stock Your Classroom Award of $250, sponsored by Stockman Bank. Several years ago, Stockman Bank partnered with the UMW Education Department and Alumni Office to help bring this special recognition event to campus each year. Dillon Branch Stockman Bank President Shane Pooyer recognizes the number of times educators dip into their own pockets to prepare their classrooms each year. This award was his idea, and we are pleased to award it to Sarah Detlaff this year. Stockman Bank has created a second award, the Take Stock in Education Scholarship, in the amount of $750, and we would like to recognize the 2023-24 recipient, Grant Heiner. Brant is a freshman from Ronan, Montana, majoring in modern history and secondary education. Brant could not be with us this evening, but we would like to recognize Brant and thank Stockman Bank for their tremendous support. And let's give our outstanding teacher candidates another round of applause.
Thank you very much, Esty. Great job, and thank you and congratulations to the outstanding teacher candidates and Stockman Bank winners. And a special thank you again to Stockman Bank. They do so much for education and the Night of the Stars and for Western. Great people. So thank them very much for what they do. Super. All right, that's great. So now we are really warming up. So that is our future. Those students that Western has been producing for 130 years go out to all over the state and from there all over the country, and they do quality, wonderful work. And those are just 12 examples of that Western has been producing for so many years. It just kind of warms your heart. So that's the future. Now let's talk about some history. Some people that have had long and distinguished careers in education that are going to be inducted tonight in the Education Hall of Fame, which is a very rare thing. I should have said that our award presenter, is also the creator of the Night of the Stars. So give her a congratulations for that. I think it's true, am I correct on this, that it's really one of the only, Night of the Stars, the only type of award like this. Isn't that wonderful? And at Western Montana College, University of Montana Western. So that's super. Thank you very much. All right, so I like this because what we have is we introduce the candidates with some basic information, and these bios are in your program. And then we have a video, and the videos are also very heartwarming things that will be shown. And then the person will come up and make a presentation and receive their award. So that's wonderful. And so the first award that we would like to present is to Jolene Isaacson Allen. Yay! Jolene is from Shoto. She, in 1977, transferred from Flathead Community College to Western, where she earned her Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education in 1979. And as the newspaper people always say, for full transparency, they want to say, I was a student with Jolene and her husband, Rich, back in the 70s, and it was a blessing to have them as fellow students and fellow educators. So it's just great. And it's important for me to say that Jolene and Rich have a fantastic partnership. They have done everything together from the 70s onward, and we'll be talking about that in just a little while. She's one of those people that was destined to be a teacher. You know, people that play teacher in school when they're very little, they would gather various members of their family, and she would always take the role as teacher. So she was destined to be a teacher. So she would gather and play teacher. And so she loved to play school for her youth, and she had that innate personality that makes for a good teacher. Kindness, enthusiasm, interest, just wonderful personality. And Rich has been her supporter and a side-by-side partner for years. In fact, Jolene has said that without Rich's support, it allows me to do what I do, which is educate students. She began teaching at Southview, a rural school near Vida, Montana in 1975. I think Southview no longer exists. It was decommissioned in 2001. They moved to Washington Spokane Valley, and Rich and Jolene created a large and flourishing daycare facility that operated from the mid-1990s to 2017. And she's got a very robust Facebook presence, and you can learn all about that wonderful school and the students that were there and the teachers that were there. She is still fondly remembered by those students, and I think this is kind of wonderful. As a high school teacher, former high school teacher, her students, and they were preschool kids, mind, her students will send her high school graduation notices and visit her. Isn't that a wonderful thing? They remembered her and what she did for them and with them. So I think that that's fantastic. After closing the daycare, retirement just wasn't an option because teaching is in her blood. So what she did is create another business with Rich called Jolene Is Still Teaching, which is a tutoring service offering night, weekend, and summer sessions for K through 6 students, focusing on English, language arts, and mathematics. And it's still in operation today. In addition, Jolene teaches and has for many years summer swim lessons for young students with her son and others. And so she does that all summer long. And that's a wonderful thing. And teaching, as Yoda would say, is strong with her. There's no doubt about it. And the nicest quote she said about Western is, "I have used my education from Western throughout my entire adult life," which is a wonderful tribute indeed to the quality of educators that we have had. Now, let's meet some of her friends and colleagues.
Hi, this is Fernand, a lifelong friend of Jolene's, and I want to share some memories of growing up with her in Shoto and her accomplishments as an educator, and to celebrate her induction into the Education Hall of Fame. First, I'd like to share that Jolene is a very humble person. When Roxanne called to let her know she was selected for this honor, she said, "I believe that you have the wrong person. I'm not Hall of Fame quality." Well, I couldn't disagree more. Talented and gifted, Jolene is an excellent singer, plays the piano, accordion, and baritone. Jolene, her husband Rich, and her sister-in-law Carol played in the band at Shoto High School. It is also rumored that she played the trombone in a Spokane community band. After graduation, Rich and Jolene married on October 5th, 1974, and enrolled in Flathead Valley Community College. They then transferred to Western Montana College in 1977, where she received her Bachelor of Science in Education degree in 1979. After graduating, Jolene's first teaching job was at Southview, a rural school near Vida, Montana that was in operation from 1918 to 2001. Vida is described as a small rural Montana town with only one sign that says "Welcome" on both sides. Eventually they moved to Spokane, Washington, where Jolene would open Christ Beginning Child Center Incorporated and make a major impact on the lives of countless students and their families. CBCC closed in 2017. She teaches swimming lessons with her son Jordan at the Jackson Quality Swim Pool all summer. She has a tutoring business and teaches students 7 days a week all year long. She serves as a substitute teacher in the Spokane public school system and volunteers in her daughter-in-law's classroom. Jolene's mother, Joyce, also lives in Spokane, and the entire family enjoys spending time together. An avid Gonzaga basketball fan, Jolene enjoys every game possible at home or at the McCarthy Athletic Center. According to Jolene, I have used my education from Western throughout my entire adult life. I've been a classroom teacher in both public and private schools. My granddaughter describes my life best. "Grandma, you aren't a normal grandma. You have lots of other kids in your life besides your own. You taught, ran a daycare, you tutor, you even tutor me. When you work with me, you aren't my grandma, you are my teacher, trying to get me to do my best. You do that with all your students. I may not be a normal grandma, but I'm a passionate educator. Jolene describes Montana Western as a college where she felt heard and accepted. She feels honored to have taken classes taught by outstanding educators and feels her confidence and self-esteem soared through the relationships she made with fellow students, staff, and faculty. Jolene is described by her colleagues as a born teacher and also as one of the kindest, most positive, and encouraging people you could ever hope to meet. While her teaching career in public schools was short, her dedication to teaching and more importantly to children never wavered. Congratulations, Jolene.
So I'd like to ask Jolene to come on down. You know, she told me that this was the first time she's been back at Western in 44 years. Welcome back!
I live a charmed life. I was loved as a child, and I'm loved as an adult. I had the best friends. I had the best college experience here at Western. And I taught so many wonderful children. And I want to thank Michael, who was a classmate and made my time here just so joyous. And I want to thank Verna, who worked at Western, and she was my childhood friend, and she read that lovely script for the video. And I want to thank my sister-in-law, Carol, who called me a year ago and started questioning about my life, and I thought she was writing my obituary. And it finally occurred to me 10 months later what she was doing. And so I thank Carol for that. I thank her husband, Tom, for always being supportive. I thank my mom, Joyce, who's 92, and said she had to live until this night. And so let's get her home to Spokane again. Let's make certain she lives through the night. And I want to thank my son, Jordan. He's also an educator, which makes me very proud. And I want to thank my husband, Rich, because he truly has supported me in everything I've wanted to do. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Well, it's wonderful to have remember all those wonderful years that we had back in the 70s, so super. Our second person is Jerry Delaney. Jerry is a St. Ignatius boy. He graduated from the University of Montana Western Montana College with a BS in secondary education in 1965. He also got his master's degree in education from Western in 1972. He began teaching at Parkview Junior High in Dillon, and now the middle school as it's called. He taught math, science, and physical education. He was also a guidance counselor, a coach, and a referee. He retired from Parkview after 40 years of service. He is and still an active volunteer, serving many years on the Beaverhead County Foster Care Board, the Dillon Volunteer Fire Department, the Dillon JCs, and he's a life member of the Dillon Elks Club. So a very rich and full life. I would now like to introduce the video about Jerry.
Hello there, my name's Randy Shipman. I am the superintendent of the Dillon Elementary School District here in Dillon. I'm so happy to be able to talk about Jerry today. When I first came to the middle school here 19 years ago, I came as the middle school teacher, and Jerry was the middle school counselor at the time. Interestingly enough, Jerry had been at the school longer, 40 years, than I was alive at that point. So having Jerry at the middle school as counselor was just a great resource for me. So as a beginning administrator, I needed a lot of help, and Jerry was that help, and he was not only a great help to me, he was also a great mentor. As somebody who had been around for 40 years, he knew everybody. He knew the kids, of course he knew all their parents, and in a lot of cases he knew all their grandparents. So he was just a great resource and great help, and then he became a great friend. But he was and still is such an inspiration to me and to many of the students that he taught over the course of 40 years, and of course all the colleagues that he worked with over that career. I personally was very lucky to have Jerry on my staff when I arrived in Dillon, and although we only worked together for 1 year professionally, he's continued these last 18 years to be a great friend and a great mentor. And education really today needs more Jerry Delaney's. His impact, his influence, his reach on the hundreds and hundreds of students and dozens of colleagues that he has impacted and been around is just been incredible and very powerful. Congratulations, buddy. The award is well deserved. I'm very happy for you, and congratulations.
Hi, my name's Robbie Williams. I'm a teacher at the Dillon Middle School. I've known Jerry for a long time. I student taught with Jerry Delaney and Lynn Stone Lake back in the spring of 1991, I think it was. Winter time of right after I got done student teaching, I was fortunate enough to get hired on here at the Dillon Middle School, and Jerry was a mentor for me. I learned so much. He's a patient man. I made a lot of mistakes going through the system, and he was able to help me out quite a bit. If you had a problem, if you had an issue, you go to Jerry. Jerry would help you out, whether you were a kid or whether you were an adult. Jerry was there and very much appreciated his frankness, and I can't tell you how much he's meant for me. And he's taught thousands of kids. I mean, literally thousands of kids. They would come to him as a father figure, eventually a grandfather figure. He was there that long. Probably the most thing I appreciated about Jerry was the fact that he's a good family guy. You know, after work was done, he'd go home, be with his family. His grandchildren coming through here, lunchtime they'd go home with Jerry just a few blocks down the road, Justin and JD, and they go eat some lunch with Grandpa, and then come back, and you'd see Jerry at all the ball games. He was a great supporter of his grandchildren, and then grandchildren are gone. He's there watching Coach Thomas and all the rest of the people supporting the community. He's a great member of the Dillon community. I'm fortunate to have him. I'm fortunate to have known him. So much appreciation.
Fantastic. Jerry, may I invite you up, say a few words.
After all of that, I don't think I can top it. First, I'd like to thank Roxanne and her crew for putting this together. I know it was a lot of work, and you did a fabulous job doing it. I'd like to recognize my family, sitting down here in the first row or so. My wife, Connie, my two daughters, Jackie and Jamie, and a whole slew of grandkids. Western, we're pretty well tied in here. My older brother come here first, and then I followed, and my wife Connie followed, and then my two daughters both graduated out of here and are teachers in elementary education in Butte and one in Dillon. So we have quite a tie to Western, and living in Dillon, Western's been really good to us. It gives a lot of entertainment. They have a lot of good things going on up here that you can come and enjoy. For me, this is a humbling experience. I never even dreamed that something like this would be happening to me. It is very, very rewarding for me to do. And the teaching profession itself is a very gratifying and rewarding profession, in my opinion. If you love kids and you like to be around kids, teaching's for you. And that's exactly where I was. In the course of 40 years, I think I taught well over 4,000 kids in Dillon. Some of them I taught 3 years in a row. That sounds like they didn't make it to the next one. I taught 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade physical education. So they got to know me pretty well by the time that they were in 8th grade, and I got to know them really well. So that was kind of interesting. But you know, the thing that did the most for me is Western. When I graduated in 1965, it was Western Montana College of Education, and the school colors were black and orange. So a lot changed there. But what I've got out of this is that Western taught me how to teach and how to handle kids. The professors here were great. You could go to them anytime for help. It was just a great institution for a young guy coming from a little town of St. Ignatius that had about 120 kids in the school. I don't think I would have survived at the University of Montana. So I enjoyed it very much. And when I graduated, I felt I was ready to teach. Now, why I say that is because when I went for my first interview down to the superintendent in Dillon, the first question he asked me, he called me kid. He says, "Kid, what can you teach?" I said, "Anything but English." And so he says, "Well, you're hired." And that was my interview. So that was in April or so, and so May come, I graduated. I hadn't got a contract or anything, and I was heading home to the ranch. So I go down to see him, and I said, "Am I supposed to get a contract or something?" He says, "Kid, I said you had a job. I'll see you in September." So I had no idea when I showed up in September what I was going to teach. But I felt that I could teach, after going through 4 years at Western, just about everything. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and it was an enjoyable evening for me. Thank you.
Fantastic. You know, what that's called is a legacy. All those family members going to the University of Montana Western. Yay! And there's tons of those people out there, so that's fantastic. Oh, I need my paper. The next person I'm going to introduce is Jim Gilboy. Jim is from, yes. Jim is from Butte, Montana. He's a Western graduate in 1991 with a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education. He began his teaching career at Grass Valley Elementary School in Winnemucca, Nevada, teaching 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grades. He has 2 master's degrees, the first in education from Lesley College in 2000, the second Master of Science in Educational Leadership from Arkansas State University in 2018. He served at his school as the Dean of Students, Literacy Specialist, Instructional Coach, and Lead Facilitator of Positive Behavioral Intervention Support. And he's got a wonderful list of awards, many which he won more than once. He was chosen twice as the Grass Valley Elementary School Teacher of the Year and the School Innovation Teacher Award for 3 years. The Milken Family Foundation National Education Award he received, and the Humboldt County School District Senior Choice Award. Jim retired after 28 years of service in 2022. And let's meet some of his colleagues and friends.
What do you say about the person who has inspired you to be and do better for the sake of children? A person who has advocated for children most of his adult life. A teacher whose love of education and students has shown for over 28 years. Jim has impacted so many lives in such a positive, loving way. Anyone can be a teacher, but it takes someone special to be able to multitask while keeping 25 plus students engaged. Someone special to change a student's and colleagues' lives by being the bright shining light, the heart of the school. Teaching was not just a job for Jim, but more of a calling, a passion. Jim is one of the most innovative, dedicated, and inspiring educators I have ever met. I feel fortunate indeed to not only have been able to work with Jim, but also to call him my friend.
Mr. Gilboy has been a member of the Grass Valley Elementary PTA for 28 years, and for 24 of those years he has been a board member. Mr. Gilboy has been instrumental in planning many family days. He has also helped make our reading weeks magical with his imagination and enthusiasm for reading and learning for all the kids. He is a wonderful inspiration to us all.
Jim Gilboy was an effective and innovative educator. He was the first teacher at Grass Valley to implement the use of computers in his instructional practices. Because of his groundbreaking work, he was a Milken Foundation Award winner for the state of Nevada. Jim was a master at personalizing education and teaching lessons in a manner that addressed all learning styles. An example of his use of project-based learning was his Bear Fair. Students would research and become experts in the bear of their choice in order to do a multimedia presentation to the community at large. Mr. G was also great at engaging students and parents, as evidenced by his Meet the Masters art shows. Students were introduced to the works of master artists such as Van Gogh and Picasso. They were instructed in the art concepts and then applied the concepts they learned in the creation of art pieces in the same style as the master. The finale of the unit was a gallery-style show at the Convention Center for parents in the community. These are just a few examples of Mr. G's innovations. He was an engaging and inspiring educator that left his students eager to learn more. It was my absolute privilege to be his teaching partner and colleague. Thanks, Mr. G.
From a first grade student to a college student to a colleague, Mr. G has helped sculpt me into the person and educator that I am today. I first met Mr. G as a student in his first grade classroom. He was always patient and showed much kindness. Then he became my college professor. He helped guide me through reading strategy implementation to target all reading levels. Last, he became an amazing colleague and friend. Thank you for being instrumental in my choice of becoming a teacher, Mr. G. I won't let you down.
I feel so lucky to have been able to interact with Mr. Gilboy as a student, and now also I've become a teacher, and his last year before he retired, I got to work with him as a colleague. It was really because of having him as a teacher in elementary school. That's why I chose to become a teacher myself. He was always so magical in the classroom. I always wanted to be there. He made learning so much fun, and he has left such a great legacy here at Grass Valley.
What a fantastic video. Hey, Jim, come on down. great to see that you were primary school. I think that's wonderful.
One more nice thing to add to my collection. I'd like to begin this evening by thanking the Education Department and the Alumni Association and Stockman's for sponsoring this wonderful event. And it's nice that teachers get some recognition. You know, you hear a lot of athletic Hall of Fames, but there aren't really a lot of education Hall of Fame, so it's very humbling to be a part of that. And I'd also like to thank my family, who many of you are here tonight, especially my wife and my children, who through 28 years, I spent many a day on the weekends at Grass Valley School, after school, special events. We were always dragging our kids there, but I think they didn't mind and they didn't complain, and we were grateful for that. So when I heard that there was going to be a speaking part of this, I really wasn't sure what to talk about. But then, right around the new year, if you were on social media, lots of things were posted on there in terms of what was like the one thing you were going to work on as an individual this year. What was the one word that was going to define what you were going to do for the year? And I thought, I'm going to borrow that idea for my speaking tonight. And when I looked at my career, both as a learner in the classroom and later as a leader in the classroom, what was the one word that was really going to kind of encompass all of that? And really what came to mind was grateful, being grateful. And the thing that I was grateful for was being raised in a home where education was important and emphasized, and that you know, there was expectations that you would go to college. My dad once said to my brother and I, you know, I don't really care what you do for a career, but use your brain, not your brawn. My poor dad used his brawn, and his body was tired, and he worked hard for us as a family. So he always instilled that in my brother and me, that we should use our brain, not our brawn. And that kind of, in the future, impacted some decision making. I was also grateful, I think, I had lots of great teachers growing up in Butte, but the one teacher that really probably had the most significant impact on me was my first grade teacher. And her name was Irene Dientzman. She was from Anaconda, and she was about 4.5 feet tall and about 4.5 feet wide. And she was kind of intimidating, and she was a little bit scary, I think, as a student in her classroom. I was kind of scared of her. If you really weren't doing what you needed to do, she would come by with the red pen and boop, give you a bump on your noggin, but you straighten right up. And you know, I just liked her class. She did lots of fun things. And I found that after I left her class while I was still in elementary school, I would always wander down to the first grade classroom to visit with Mrs. Dientzman, and just all through elementary school was visit with her. I liked the classroom, and in fact, by the time I was in the 5th or 6th grade, I would be called up by her before school started, and she would invite me in to help put her classroom together, and I'd rip out page after page of modern curriculum press phonics books and get them all sorted and stacked. But I didn't mind, I really liked that. And the best part was that she took you to lunch. I went through high school and graduated Butte High School in 1987, and I just wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So having college not be an option, not going, I enrolled in Montana Tech and went there for 2 years, but it was pretty evident after 2 years, like dirt, rocks, and engineering just wasn't my thing. So I really had to look and examine what did I want to do for the rest of my life, using my brain, not the brawn. And I just remembered back to, you know, my affection and my affinity for the classroom. And you know, I got along well with people, I liked people, and so I think it was, teaching kind of chose me, that's where I was to go. So I loaded up and came to Western in 1989. And immediately when you got to Western, it was comfortable. It was smaller than Butte High School. People knew you here. Instructors took time to get to know you. They knew you by your first name. If you were absent from class, you were duly noted that you were not present. So class sizes were small, lots of connections were made. But there were two professors that really stuck out to me during my time here at Western. And the first individual was Mr. Henry Stish. And he was in the science department. And Mr. Stish was a wonderful educator. I enjoyed going to his classroom. And one of the things that he did, he always started his classroom by asking, did anybody have any questions? And I thought that was an unusual way to start a class, but you could ask him anything you wanted. It could be relevant to the content we were teaching, or that he was teaching, or just anything in general. And later on, when I became an adjunct instructor at Great Basin college in Elko, I always started my classes the same way with, does anybody have a question? And really what that did is it built a sense of community, it built a sense of trust, it built a relationship with those students, and it really did help those students and me be successful. The other thing I can remember about Mr. Stish was his exams, and they were pretty comprehensive, and they were hard, and you had to study a lot. And I can remember one afternoon we were there, and he passed out our test, and one of the students raised up his hand and says, "Mr. Stish, why are your tests so hard?" And Mr. Stish took up his fist, and he pounded it on the desk, and he said, "My dear son, this desk is hard. My tests are difficult. You have to know the difference, and I have high expectations for you as a student." And but I borrowed that, and I never forgot that having high expectations for students is super important. So what I took from Mr. Stish was the importance of having high expectations for students and raising the bar. And it's amazing what students can do when you raise that bar. They will strive to meet it every inch of the way. The other instructor that I really admired here was Dr. Judy Ulrich. And if you ever had an opportunity to be around Dr. Judy Ulrich, she was a bundle of energy. She was enthusiastic, she was passionate, she was full of life, and I just enjoyed being in her presence. I enjoyed her classes and her passion for teaching. And I always said and promised to myself that when I became a teacher, I would do the same, that I would try to be that very passionate, enthusiastic educator so that, students enjoyed being in my classroom. And clearly you saw from the video they did. So that was very good. I was also grateful for then a lady by the name of Margot Hendricks. Margot Hendricks was the principal at Grass Valley Elementary School. And back in it was the fall of 1994, they had an opening at Grass Valley Elementary School after school had started. So they had this class size reduction ratio there, and they were exceeding the ratio in first grade, so they needed to hire a first grade teacher. And that was really my dream job. So a cousin who lived in Winnemucca at the time called and said I should contact Mrs. Hendricks, so I did. And she said, yes, come for an interview, bring a lesson, we'll have an interview. So I drove down with my dad, got there, had the interview, and instantly when you came into Grass Valley School, it was comfortable. I felt at ease there. It was an interview like none other. The interview concluded, and I thought, oh, they didn't want to see my lesson. I did this great lesson on the letter M and its sound and all that great stuff. And they said, now we'll have the part of the interview where you can teach the lesson. And it was like, oh, I'm sure my soul fell out of myself because I didn't come prepared to teach the lesson. I come prepared to talk about the lesson. But anyhow, I went down to the room 110, and they pulled 8 students out from a fellow first grade classroom, and it was do or die. So I did the best I could and taught my lesson on the letter M, and I drove home the next day. They said call, and so I can still remember the Chevron station in Idaho Falls, Idaho, and I stopped there, got out my AT&T calling card, and called Mrs. There's no cell phones back then, by the way, people, and called, and she said, there was a lot of fine candidates, and I thought, oh, here we go again. Another, no, not you. And she said, but you really kind of rose to the top, and we'd like to offer you the job. Can you be here Monday? Well, this was a Wednesday. I had to go home to Butte, quit 3 jobs, work 2 night shifts at the Butte Plaza Inn as a night auditor, get a U-Haul, drive all the way to Winnemucca on Sunday to start on Monday. Well, after I'd accepted the position, the teachers there weren't really comfortable giving up students for me to have my own classroom, so they decided that I would work with the most striving readers in their classroom for about 40-45 minutes a day. But here was the next problem. Grass Valley School was bulging at the seams. There was no place for me. So I couldn't have a classroom, and working in a classroom wasn't practical. So Mrs. Hendricks and I, who, by the way, I forgot to tell you, was a proud graduate of Dillon Normal School in 1961, come to find out when I went to the interview. So again, it felt like family and home right there. But anyhow, we canvassed the school, and we found an electrical room. We opened up the door. If you mind me for a minute, just picture in your mind about the square footage of a king-size bed. That was what I had. So I had enough room there for me to put my little kidney table, my little chairs, and my little teacher table, my Tuffy card, and there was a whole panel of electrical circuits and walls, and I just used my magnets and my pocket chart, and I just made the most of it, because really, I had not planned to stay at Winnemucca. That was not my final destination. But I taught there for about 2 months, and gosh, the teachers there were fabulous. They were wonderful. They were kind. They were caring. They'd invite me over for dinner at their house, and And I thought, well, maybe I could just try one more year. So the year kind of concluded, and I was offered a second grade position, and I accepted that second grade position. And I also kind of figured that, Grass Valley School was going to be my forever school. And it really was. I taught there for, like was said, 28 years. 28 years. I did teach first grade, second grade, third grade. I did end up being the instructional coach for the last year of my career there. And the ironic thing about this is that I had no students my last year because I was an instructional coach, and I had the largest room in the school. No students, but I had the largest room in the school. So for humble beginnings in a tiny little, square foot room to a big room empty, it really was a stellar career. One of the also things I was grateful for was an opportunity. You saw my team partner up there, Kitty Norcott was her name. She and I team taught together for 18 years. And not really team taught, but co-taught. We didn't do the traditional team teaching where, I specified in reading and she specialized in math. We just taught together, like our ideology and our philosophies just meshed really well, and we fed off one another, and work didn't even seem like work. It was so much fun. In fact, I can remember one day, it was the day before Thanksgiving, so it was that Wednesday half day, and we were at that morning meeting, and Mrs. Norcott was telling the children she was so excited to get off work today because when she got home from work, her son was going to be there. And one little kid raised up his hand and said, "You have a son, Mrs. Norcott?" And she said, "Yes, I do. His name is Quinn, and he goes to Boise State University. I haven't seen him since August, and I'm really excited to see him." And then the little boy raised up his hand and he goes, "You work, Mrs. N?" I thought, clearly the students didn't even think that we worked very hard. We made it so much fun. They didn't have a clue that we were really working, but we really were. I think the other thing that I was grateful for was an opportunity to go to a professional development class that was run by a company called Creating Change. It was out of Meridian, Idaho. And a group of gentlemen got together. They were very inspirational, and they traveled all over the Pacific Northwest offering PD classes for teachers. And we happened to just go to one in Elko and met this gentleman by the name of Mark Van Skyver. And he was a principal in, I think, Middleton, Idaho at the time. But anyhow, he gave a really wonderful presentation, and there was one slide that just stuck out like you couldn't believe. It was kind of the pivotal moment in my educational career. And it was a quote by Dr. Larry Lizotte. And Dr. Larry Lizotte was quoted as saying, "You control all the variables for success in your classroom." And that was just poignant to me as an educator, and I really based everything I did from that point forward on that one quote. And he really believed that if you want students' behavior to change, you have to look at the adult behavior and change the adult behavior. So what variables do you control? What variables can you change? And then if you change the right variables, you have the best success. And Mrs. Norcott and I certainly did have the best success with that quote as kind of our mantra. When things went south, we always reflected on, how can we change things? What are the variables that we control? And what can we do to make this successful for all of us? But I think ultimately the thing that I was most grateful for was the students and being a part of so many students' lives. And these students now, two of them, like you said, were colleagues. Now one of them came to my retirement party clear from California. So when they do those kind of things, and they own businesses in Winnemucca now, they are real estate agents. They sit on the city council. But what's really humbling, what's nice is that these students take the time when they see me out and about. Winnemucca's not very large; it's about 8,000 people. So chances are that if you go out in the public, you're going to run into a former student somewhere. And I am always just so impressed that they take the time to, come over to see me, ask how I'm doing. Do you still do this? Do you still do this unit? Do you still do this? Do you still give out Skittle challenges? Yes, I do all of those things. And now they're finding out that I have retired. But I think that's probably the thing I'm most grateful for, that I had the opportunity to end up being Mr. G at Grass Valley for 28 years. And again, like it was said, I think this is a humbling experience to accept an award like this. It kind of came at the end of my career, which was interesting. Retired, and then a month later I found out I'm a recipient of this kind of award, and it just came full circle. That validated everything I did as an educator, all the long extra hours and the days I put in. That not only did students recognize it and the colleagues recognize it, but now the university that I went to recognized it. So again, thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you all at the reception.
Fantastic. Well, I don't know about you, but my endorphins are firing on all 8 cylinders. My ET heart light is on high beam, and I am totally blissed to the gills on good vibes. It's just good. What a good night. What a good night. And we're not done yet. That's the key. So the next person is a wonderful individual named Wayne Loeffler. Wayne is from Conrad, Montana. He's a Western graduate with a Bachelor's of Secondary Education in 1975. Very active on campus. He was a 4-year football letterman, a member of clubs and boards and honor societies, too numerous to mention. He completed his master's at Western in 1989. He began his teaching career in Big Fork, Montana, where he taught high school biology and health enhancement for over 34 years. He also served as a middle school principal, district activities director, and track and football coach. He also was an active volunteer, Big Fork Volunteer Fire Department, board member of the Big Fork Chamber of Commerce, and a Masonic Lodge member. And he's also won a number of awards: the Montana Coaches Association Boys Track Coach of the Year, the Montana High School Association Service Citation, and the Class A Conference Service Award. It's my pleasure to call Wayne. I'm losing it, Wayne. I'm losing it.
No, that's good. Oh, apparently there's some videos, I guess. So.
I got so excited, I forgot the video. So, sit down, join me.
My name is Ross, and Wayne Loeffler is my dad. And I believe him being a teacher, administrator, and a coach has allowed him to impact kids through the school system, or even outside of school, and helping kids be a better version of themselves. And I see it countless times where we'll go out to dinner, and the next student will come up and talk to him, and personally go out of his way, and even tell him how much he appreciates everything he's done for him or her, and said that if it wasn't for them, they didn't know where they'd be to this day, and just believing in them and having someone there for them. Most importantly too, and that's one thing I really take away from my dad is he always puts other people before him, and it's kind of cool to see people that he's impacted and what he's done in their lives help them be a better version of himself. I'm just super proud to be his son, and I can't think of another person that's more deserving of this award.
Hi, my name is Cole Loeffler, and I'm the son of Wayne Loeffler. I own a property management business here in Whitefish, Montana. That's where I live with my wife and 2 kids. I just wanted to talk about my dad's impact that he had on the community there in Big Fork, the school, and the students. It started when he was a biology teacher, and then transitioned to athletic director, vice principal, and principal. I know that he made a lot of impact on students' lives. Treating them as one of his own, taking them under the wings, and just being there for the students, the faculty, and just different community members, around Big Fork. The impact that he had on me, he showed me what it was to be a great father, a great husband, and just a great human being in general. And I owe everything to him for the man that I am now today. Because of him and that example that he set. And I just appreciate everything that he has done in my life. And he's a wonderful grandpa to my 2 kids who absolutely love him. And I just want to say thank you for everything.
My name is Zoe Albert, and I'm a senior at Big Fork High School. I know Mr. Loeffler through track and field. He's my javelin coach. Mr. Loeffler is one of the community's biggest supporters. He comes to every single sporting event I could think of, from tennis to volleyball whether it's indoors, outdoors, he's there. He's a really well-respected member of our community, he's not just respected by students, but he's respected by adults, even by people that are older than him. Like, he just has everyone's respect, and it's noticeable. I'd have to say that I think he has the greatest impact on the students because he shows up to all these events. I know a lot of those kids don't have that support system from their family, and so they don't really have anyone, but Mr. Loeffler always shows up, and those kids take notice, and I know it means a lot to them at the end of the day. For me, Mr. Loeffler's taught me a lot, not just how to throw a javelin far, but how to be a respectable, hardworking, honest person. He has taught me the value of hard work and what it means to show up. And for that, I will always be thankful.
Well, I've been thinking about this for 5 months, so I've been waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, write down notes. I've just got 10 pages, so just hang in there and we'll be good. Actually, this young lady today, one of my javelin prodigies, she just broke her school record at 122 feet and 5.5 inches, so I'm very proud of her. So thank you, the Foundation and Alumni Association, for putting this on. This is tremendous. I've had some other teachers back at Big Fork that have gone through the same process, and they'll say you thoroughly enjoy this, Wayne, and it's been tremendous. It's a great honor for me. I've been inducted with some outstanding educators, the group of 70s back there. They're terrific people, type of stuff, and I was more proud to be with them in my 4 years here at Western Montana College, types of stuff. I was like Mr. Delaney. I got a phone call one day. He says, "You want to teach biology up in Big Fork?" Never applied, didn't even know where Big Fork was, to be honest with you. And the principal calls me up and says, "You want a job?" "Yep." "Okay, you're hired. You're teaching biology." And I said, "Well, how did you find out about me?" "Well, my son goes down there, Gary, and he plays football, and he's in your biology classes, and he said he'd make a good biology teacher, so you're hired." But that's what Western Montana is so neat. It's a small community, and everybody's got everybody else's back, and it's just tremendous. And I see that now, coming 35, 40, 50 years later, it's still the same concept. We have a former student that goes here and will be graduating in the spring. It's the same thing. It's just that everybody knows everybody and helps each other, which is tremendous. For you educators going out there, you'll make a little bit more money than I did when I first started. Not a lot, but you'll make some more money. 1975, my take-home check was $450. And I thought I had the tiger by the tail. That was a lot of money, type of stuff. Mr. Schultz, I spent a lot of time in that library my first year here. I was getting paid my education because of playing football and stuff, so I spent a lot of time wanting to do well in my education. However, it was just a work-study job 3 days a week, so. But I did use the library sometimes. Thank you, Bill Slepp, my great friend, best man, grew up together since we're 3 years old. He says, "You need to be nominated for this award." I said, "No, Bill, that's not me." But, he says, "You are very worthy of this and you needed that, so thank you, Bill, for doing that for me to do that." I'd like to thank all my past teachers, elementary, junior high, high school, and college. Dr. Bandelier here, Dr. Block were my science teachers, tremendous people, and they helped me go through my teaching career and be ready to go type of stuff. All my other administrators that I worked with, they kept me on track. And also my family, as you see with my 2 sons here, terrific young men. They've grown up and they're very accountable. We're hard workers and we'll do anything for you. My 2 grandkids, Chloe and Mason. Mason just turned 12, he'll be 14 here, but this last, in December, because of hard work, he's a black belt at 12, 13 years old. His sister Chloe will be a black belt in probably 2 more years. She's getting there or so. And they're both straight A students. So they work hard, so I'm very proud of those people. And that's because of how they've been brought up. Y'all saw a picture of my little granddaughter, Poppy. She's only at that point about 4 months old type of stuff, but she's a ball of fire, I can tell you that right now. Behind every good man, there's always a good woman. And was my wife, great friend, always supported me and did a lot of different things. Being an administrator, you're not at home a lot, especially activities director, you're gone all the time. She helped raise my two sons to where they're at right now. She taught for 44 years, and she is right now on her 49th year of high school track coaching, all at Big Fork High School. And she's gonna kill me for this, but she's also will be this July, she'll be inducted to the National High School Athletic Coaches Hall of Fame. Tremendous person. And I hear a lot of speaker stuff, their education is great. It's a great profession to be in. So good luck for you 12, at least the minimum they're going out there to teach. It's a truly, truly great profession, types of things. You gotta work hard, put some time in, put effort in, be professional what you do. If you work hard and those type of things, good things will happen to you, or for you, types of stuff. You'll touch the lives of a lot of different people, type of things, more ways than you think you do. And you'll get feedback, as you've heard tonight, with people coming back and tell you thank you. I wish I would have listened to you 10 years ago, or whatever it might be. I was very well prepared, like I said, from Western Montana College out to go to teach. However, only one instance, I'm not sure how I could have done better. I should have been taught. I was with the junior high principal, and the elementary principal was gone. And so I had the discipline of the younger kids. So the teacher brings in this student, this 5th grader, and says he punched the kid. I looked up, guess who it was? It was my son. So I don't know, I was never taught how do you do that as an administrator, type of stuff. But as the teacher walked out, the teacher said, the kid deserved it, so be light on him. Again, good luck for you educators that are going out there to teach. Like I say, it's a great profession. You're going to teach there to do that. Okay? And I'd like to again thank you everybody for coming. It's been a great honor, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you very much.
Super job. Sorry about the snafu there, but we'll improve. That's all. All right, my balloon is tethered, but poorly, jumping up and down. Hey, one more person. Lacey Poyer is our next candidate. Lacey is from Dillon. She graduated from Western with a BS in elementary education in 2001. She got her master's degree in education with an emphasis in reading and literacy from Walden University. She began teaching at Memorial Elementary School in McMinnville, Oregon, as a long-term sub in library. She just got done with her student teaching, and she just worked into a job, which is a wonderful thing. From there, they moved to Highlands Ranch, Colorado, where she taught kindergarten at Rock Ridge Elementary, moved back to Montana in 2007, teaching 5th grade at Corvallis Middle School. Lacey and her husband Shane moved back to Dillon in 2011 to raise their family. She began her first teaching job in the middle school here as a title teacher, and then she switched to Parkview Elementary, where she is teaching kindergarten and currently 5th grade. Lacey unfortunately could not be here tonight because she had a wonderful thing, a confirmation with her family in Butte, Montana. And so she would love to have been here, but of course the bishop comes down from Helena and it's a big deal, a regional thing. So she wished she could be here. But I would like to introduce Jolene Robbins, who is going to come and read the alumni. So I'm probably doing it again, aren't I? So I am, yeah. I told you I wasn't going to do this, didn't I? All right, well, oh my God, bless America. So let's watch a video.
Hello, my name is Jeff Edwards. I've been teaching at Parkview Elementary for 14 years. Known Lacey probably for 10. She's our fellow 5th grade teacher. But I first got to know her when she was teaching the kinders at Parkview, and since then I feel like we've had a really, really good relationship that's blossomed into a great friendship. that has been really important to me. I value a lot of things about working with Lacey, and I admire her for a lot of things. You know, the first thing that comes into mind is that she's able to balance the work-life, friendship, about as well as I've ever seen. I always tease her that she just doesn't know the two-letter word, no. If you look at what she does to Parkview, she's on the MBI, she's on PACS, she's on leadership committee. Her ability to help out our school district, as well as being able to do homework with Paxton and Parker, being able to be at every game, it's just something that I admire. I gotta think that she's got 36 hours in a day because she seems to be able to balance that work, life about as well as anybody I've seen. When I look at Lacey in the classroom, I think the thing that guides her is she always puts what's good for kids first. And if it's what is good for kids, she will go above and beyond whatever her contracted hours in order to make what's best for kids. And I admire that truly about her, and I think that's what makes her a Hall of Famer. When you kind of look at the definition of a Hall of Famer, it's somebody that does some things for other people. And I think this is truly a great way to recognize her and give her appreciation for what she does for other people. So I'm really, really excited for her, and it's an awesome time for everybody kind of recognize her for all of her accomplishments and the time that she's put in to make other people better.
My name is Greg Fitzgerald, and I'm a principal at Parkview Elementary School. I have worked with Lacey Pooyer for the past 10 years. I consider myself lucky to have worked with such a caring teacher who always has the best interests of her students at heart. Watching her work has been rewarding on many different levels. Her first teaching experience at Parkview was as a kindergarten teacher. In my opinion, kindergarten teachers have one of the most difficult jobs in education. Teaching students all the basic academic skills needed to be successful in school, as well as teaching students to treat each other with respect, are key components a kindergarten teacher must possess. Lacey met all of those challenges as a kindergarten teacher and gave her students the opportunity to succeed as they progressed through school. If you've never had the opportunity to watch a kindergarten teacher in action, I can tell you it is a bit like herding cats. After spending 4 years in the kindergarten classroom, Lacey transitioned to 5th grade. During her 5th grade teaching experience, Lacey obtained a master's degree in educational leadership. And I'm sure if you asked her husband Shane, he might say, I'm not sure why she needed another degree, but I believe it's because Lacey embodies the theme of being a lifelong learner. She constantly searches for ways to better herself as an educator and is willing to do whatever is needed to better the lives of the students she works with. For the past 2 summers, Lacey has also directed our summer academic recovery program, working with educators and students to help narrow achievement gaps that arose during the COVID-19 pandemic. Educators like Lacey make it easy to come to work each day, and students are lucky to have educators like her in their lives. Congratulations on your induction into the Education Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Mrs. Rubier!
Take 2. So now it is my privilege to introduce Jolene Robbins, and Jolene is the Western Alumni and Special Events Coordinator, to read Lacey's comments.
So we went and videoed the classroom, and it was Wacky Wednesday. So in case you're wondering about the hair, she doesn't go to school like that every day. Well, I got to know Lacey because her son and my daughter hang out a lot together, and it's comforting knowing that she's in good hands. Josie's in good hands whenever she's at her house. So Lacey is a wonderful person, and I'm happy to read her acceptance speech for her. Thank you all so much for being here to share this special occasion. I am so sorry to not be in attendance. Ironically, I am with my students from church school tonight. I teach confirmation classes, and 16 of our students, as well as my own 2 boys, are being confirmed in Butte tonight at St. Patrick's Catholic Church. I want to start by saying how overwhelmed with gratitude I am to have been selected to be inducted into the University of Montana Western Education Hall of Fame. Teaching has been my passion from the time I can remember. I knew teaching was what I wanted to do as soon as I got my first teaching job as a ski teacher at Maverick Mountain when I was 15. My time at Western truly shaped who I am today. I made long-lasting friendships and gained a strong foundation for my future. I was able to get hands-on experiences and had great teachers helping me to prepare for what was to come. I am currently in my 18th year of teaching. I have taught multiple grades and have had the opportunity to work in a few different school districts in different states along the way. The education I received at Western gave me the tools to go follow my dreams. This award is extra special to me because of my grandfather, Dan Scott. My grandpa graduated from Western Montana College in 1961 with a teaching degree. He received his master's degree at Indiana University in 1965. His major areas of interest were metals and wood crafts. He taught industrial arts at Western Montana College from 1967 to 1985. After he retired, he continued to teach part-time for a few years because he just couldn't walk away from teaching. Western Montana College, now the University of Montana Western, will always hold a special place in my heart. My grandfather fostered his love for learning and teaching here at Western, and then I had the opportunity to do the same. This year, I have had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with 3 of the outstanding teacher candidates that are here tonight. Miss Logan Thompson, student taught with me this past fall in 5th grade. Miss Brinley Fitzgerald, student taught with my coworker, Mr. Jeff Edwards, and Miss Mesa King is finishing up her student teaching with my other coworker, Mrs. Bailey Milamaki. All 3 of these candidates were hardworking and put in a lot of time to become better teachers. It was fun to see them progress and to see the potential impact they will have on their future students and education in the future. If I had one piece of advice to share with these 3 and all new teachers jumping into this profession, it would be relax, breathe, laugh, and make connections with your students. If students know you care, they will do just about anything for you. Share your life with them and they will feel comfortable to share theirs. As John C. Maxwell says, students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. In closing, I would like to thank Roxanne, Jolene, and everyone else that has worked hard to put this event together. It is a wonderful opportunity for everyone to listen and be inspired by the amazing educators of the past and the new educators of the future. I would also like to thank my coworkers and administrators that I work with. I love my job and look forward to being in the classroom each day. This wouldn't be possible if it weren't for them. I also want to thank my friends, family, and community for all of their support. The University of Montana Western and Dillon are very special places. I feel lucky to be teaching in Dillon and able to work with future teachers that come out of Montana Western. Last but not least, I want to thank you to the committee for this recognition. I am excited to continue my efforts in making a difference in my students' lives for many years to come. I look forward to bringing about positive changes and innovation in education for the years I have left in the classroom. I am humbled and appreciative. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this special night.
Lovely. Thank you, Jolene, very much. Appreciate it. Well, holy smokes, weren't those videos fantastic? Oh, they just make you want to cry and laugh and run down the halls. I think it's beautiful. I just love those things. Even though we had a few glitches. But what the heck, we made it through. Well, that concludes our awards tonight. So I want to introduce the class of 2024 Hall of Famers. Next. And so there we go. Those names, Mark Clark, Cindy Farmer, Patty Haynes Gibson, and Jackie Taylor are our Hall of Famers. And a wonderful individual from Butte, Percy Craddock, is going to be our Legacy Award winner. And that's for next year. So wonderful people. You know, Western is just like Niagara Falls. It just keeps pumping those wonderful people out, and it's so moving and so wonderful, and what an impact the college has had on people, and what wonderful faculty members we have had through the years and right now. that are imparting such great things for kids and making them ready to be teachers. Teacher ready, I guess would be the term. All right, so a little announcements before we adjourn. It's wonderful. This year we've had some great experience getting recommendations for Hall of Famers, and maybe it's a lot due to Jolene Robbins because she did some media, some Facebook posts and so forth. But so we've got a number of recommendations from you folks, and we all are looking for that. That's wonderful. If you could recommend people that you knew, you taught with, you're married to, whatever the case might be, we would love to receive those because that makes our job so much easier and so much better, and it broadens our horizons of people that we can invite. Before you all go away, all the award winners, we'd like you to come up to the stage so that we could do a photo op for you. Parents, if you brought your cameras, this is a great time to get pictures of your children or husbands and wives and whatever the case might be, and also the media. So before you go off to the reception, we want to make sure we got the photo op, and the lights will be on and it'll be a much nicer picture situation. And speaking of reception, holy smokes, are you ready for some good grub? That's what I tell my cat. I say, got some good grub for you today. So these are heavy hors d'oeuvres. It's going to be a wonderful thing, I think, for you. It's in the Lewis and Clark room of Mathews Hall, formerly the Passion Pit. If you're a 70s person, and the women's dorm as well. So Mathews Hall, Lewis and Clark room for some excellent food, drink, and conversation. And without further ado from me to you, it's been my pleasure to talk with you and meet these wonderful people, the students that are going out, and these great people who have taught and done such wonderful work. So have a great evening. Thank you very much. All the students, and then the Hall of Famers, come on!